try that again. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Groovy Tuesday. My name's Paul Church from Clarity Stamp here in the UK. How's everybody's doing today? Little glitch with the sound, forgot to press the button, but hopefully you can hear me. Stuart's in the room with you today, so if you have any questions or you're looking for anything, then Stuart's the man. I'm sure some of our fantastic design team are in the room as well. Let's have a look at my text. Sound is goo. Thank you, Stuart. I think he means good. So welcome. How are we all doing this fine sunny day? Just wait to see a few messages pop in to make sure I'm not on my own. There we go. Oh, look at that. Jane Telford, first in line. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Mo. Welcome, everybody. Here comes everybody. Oh, dear. Yeah, Tuesday again. And yeah, I know I start off the same. I just waffle for the first 5 minutes or so, just to let people pull up a chair, grab a drink, get comfortable, chill out, and then we'll get going. So hope everybody's well. What's the weather like with you today? It's lovely and sunny down here. Apparently, Barb was telling me this morning when she was driving in that it's meant to be the hottest day of the year so far. I think they said that the other week, but it never really happened. So we shall see. We shall see. Good morning, Ken. In sunny Dorset. Very nice. Still on holidays. Lovely. Karen, good morning, Karen. Oh, Glynis. Oh, good morning, good morning, good morning. So, what have we been up to in the past week at Clarity? I thought what we'll do, while everyone's pulling up a chair, we'll have a bit of a recap on what's been going on at Clarity Towers. Last week, I was on Create and Craft with the Pergamano show, and we reintroduced some beautiful plates by Tina Cox. These are her, I gave you a sneak peek last week, or not a sneak peek, I showed you last week about Tina's floral doodles and rosy doodles. Beautiful design. So we've got two A5 square plates, and then we have two borders to coordinate with them. In addition to that, we then have Tina's II book. So it gives you fantastic ideas and inspiration of beautiful pieces of artwork created by the design team. Well, as it says on the front, Tina Cock and Friends. Absolutely lovely. So we showcased that on the Pergamano show last week. And just got a couple of samples just to show you, just in case you missed out. So, you know, we created our lovely bookmark, didn't we, with using the grid. Well, here's a lovely bookmark created by Karen Jackson using those border plates. So if I take the border, which one is it? So if you're looking for some really nice artwork to create beautiful borders, and then what Karen's done, she's put some grid work in the middle. So you could use elements of the Queen Elizabeth in the middle as well. Or, see, look, you could join those up to make circles. So we've got that piece there. Then we have a lovely piece by Tina Cox, who was in the building yesterday at Clarity Towers. Barb blogged about that last night. Love this piece from Dee Paramore. Isn't that beautiful? Using the hills and the mountains from the starter kit. Really, really nice. Then we have another piece from lovely Tina. And Tina's, look, she's used a trick of layering up in different colours of parchment. Really, really beautiful. And then to blow you away, the front cover of the book from Tina herself. Isn't that beautiful? Using the rosy doodle and then using the borders to create a frame. And you know what, when you look at this, if you are new to the Groovi system, you can achieve all of this from those plates, but you just don't necessarily have to do any pico cutting or any white work or any colouring. I mean, this one is just very simple. I say very simple. It's just colouring in on the back. But you could go with our highlight of the week product, which is our designer parchment, which we'll come to a little bit later on. Beautiful, beautiful pieces of artwork. So that was just giving you a bit of a recap on last week's TV show. And then in addition to that, I'm just trying to think where I can pop this. In addition to that, then we had the craft along with Barb on Friday evening. That was great fun. It was lovely to see so many people in the room, not physically, but yeah, that was brilliant with that beautiful 5-part block print stencil. Really nice. Then obviously you had the Shack with Barb yesterday, carrying on with the On the Wing. And then looking ahead, we've got today, Groovi Tuesday. Thursday, it's back in the Shack again with Barb before she takes a little break. And then on Saturday, Tina Cox is back on TV. So excited. I'm going to go up and just help behind the scenes just so that Tina can get back into the groove, so to speak. So she will be on Craft Extra at 2 p.m. and then on Create and Craft at 5 p.m. with some beautiful, beautiful little parchlets. On our website, we've got a sneaky peek of the designs, but let me just lay these out for you. The artworks that Tina brought yesterday. So look at these. These are Tina's flowerette parchlets. Beautiful, instant pieces of artwork. They really are. And if you're new, then these are perfect because they're beautiful little areas to practice white work, a little bit of colouring, or you can just trace it out exactly how it comes. I've got a couple of pieces here. This piece here is by the lovely Glynis. And Glynis, if I'm not mistaken, has just taken the plate, let's get it right, taken the plate exactly how it comes on that piece of artwork. So there we go there. Beautiful. Then we have another piece by Glynis, and Glynis has taken that one, traced it out exactly how it comes. And who's next on my list? Next is Josie Davidson, and Josie has taken this one. She's created the frame in the middle, a little bit of grid work around the outsides, and then the lovely little frame. Really gorgeous. And then the designer paper in the background. Then another piece by Josie Davidson. I love this. This is lovely. I love these flowers. So where has Josie taken that? So she's got the central flowers in each corner from that particular design. And then the centerpiece, is that exactly how it comes? Really, really beautiful and so achievable. They really are. And then I've got this final piece. I thought this was brilliant. This is from Carol Baker. And what she's done like playing with parchlets. And so it's like a little journey. So you can trace it out straight from the plate. Okay. Then straight from the plate with a simple bit of color. Then straight from the plate with white work. Look at that. Let me see if I can come in on this camera. Look at that. Beautiful. Let's go back to the beginning and do it on this camera. Playing with parchlets. So straight from the plate, no effort required at all. Then a little bit of color. Where am I going? Let's go that way. A little bit of color. Then the next one is white work. And then when you combine all of them together, you can create this. Look at that. Absolutely crazy. So I just wanted to showcase those little bits, just while people are pulling up a chair and getting comfortable. So I must put all that artwork in somewhere safe so it doesn't get lost, ready for the TV on Saturday with Tina. So I think there's plenty of time for people to have pulled up a chair. Welcome if you've just joined us. Another episode. This will be the final week we're going to look at Queen Elizabeth, and next week we're going to have a look at something a little bit more special. Not more special, a little bit special. So just to recap on the grid journey, we created a beautiful frame, exactly how the plate was designed to work. We created a lovely bookmark as a gift. And then last week, we started to create the inside part of our coaster. Okay, so if I take that and pop that over the top. So this was showing us how we created a complete frame with a few hints and tips on positioning so that you got a rectangle or a square perfectly every single time. The bookmark showed us how we could increase the length of the design, but just in a straight line. And then last week we had a look at how we could shorten the design, but to add in the corners. Okay, so if you missed any of the episodes, then you can catch up on our YouTube page. All of them are on there to catch up. We added a little bit of white work. So take this Groovi tab on. And I think I said what we would do. I can't remember. Last week was such a long time. Let me zoom in a little bit so we can get some more detail. Let me see if my piece of paper's fallen on the floor. No, knew I'd go wrong. There we go. I have a piece of paper stuck to the camera to tell me if I go left on the lever, whether it goes out or in, because I always get it wrong, just like that. So what we can do, we can put, that's why that Groovi tab was there, wasn't it? I remember now. The Groovi tab there was to indicate where we started on our white work journey. So what we're going to need is we've got the soft mat. Now I'm working on the reverse of the black mat that comes in the starter kit. I've got a cello bag. I'm going to use my wooden tools from the starter kit, number 3, number 4. Don't need the 1 and the 2. And then we are also going to need our 1 needle bold tool and a perforating mat and our Groovi guard. So that's what we're going to need for the next step of this journey for completing the coaster. And once we complete the coaster, then next, as I said, we're going to have a look at a different project. And it was Barb's idea, because I was trying to think of a different plate that we could use for next week moving forward, to show off different techniques. And Barb had a really good idea, which I think makes perfect sense, like it always does. So are we good to go? I think we must be by now. Are we? Are we all good? Thumbs up from everybody. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Right. Okay. Let's concentrate with some white work then. So I think on this one, we put 2 layers on last week. And what we're going to do, we're going to add another layer. So we're going to start off with this area here. I'm going to use my Groovi guard to lean on. And I'm going to go with the number 3 tool. So I think we did it with the number 4 last week. And now I'm just going to apply. Look, you can you see how it's gone a lot whiter because I've left it for a week. And then we're just going to add. Yeah, can you see the difference between the 2? White there and not so white there. Let's turn it over and have a look. Let's hold it up so we can see. There we go. We can see the difference, can't we, between that's the one we've just put another layer on and this one hasn't. Okay. So working on the back, turn it over. And we're just going to apply gentle pressure just to stretch the parchment again. And it's very, very, I think I mentioned this last week, my voice slows down when I'm doing the tracing out of the design. But it seems to slow down more when I'm doing white work. I suppose, let me come in a little bit closer. I suppose with the Groovi plate, I've got that safety net, haven't I? And I don't need to think about what I'm doing. Whereas with the white work, it just requires a little bit more skill in relation to how much pressure I need to apply. Okay, so we're just going to go along and you just repeat that process. Now remember, I've put a Groovi tab here. You could put a white pencil line if you choose to. And it shows me where I've started. So, and I'm turning my work so it's comfortable for me. Now don't forget the circles. We go up and down, left and right, round and round, up and down, left and right, round and round, up and down, left and right, round and round. Okay, that one looks a little bit grey there. So what I tend to find, because of the way in which I'm holding the tool, sometimes I'm a bit wary of going right to that edge. So if I turn it round, so it's in the opposite direction, I can see more of the edge. Does that make sense? So I'm going to go up and down, left and right, round and round. So let's turn that over now, and you can definitely see that you can see the difference now, can't you? Where it's a lot whiter here than it is here. Okay, and you'll notice that you can see I've got some grey areas where I haven't completely done the white work on there. So we're going to turn it over and we're going to continue to work our pattern. So I think it was Glynis last week. She finished her project in no time, I think, because she was making it as a gift. I think it was for her niece. And it looked absolutely, well, it would look lovely from Glynis, wouldn't it? But it's lovely to see the finished pieces. So, and how everybody interprets it, that word, differently. So I'm sort of giving you the basis of the idea, but it's lovely to see now whether you go with the clear parchment, which I'm using for demonstration purposes, or whether you go with our designer parchment or our rainbow parchment. And did you know we've recently reintroduced, well, say recently, yesterday, in fact, our product highlight of the week. And this week, it is the first 4 designer parchments: Northern Lights, Rainbow River, Shenandoah, and Northern Lights, Indian Summer, Rainbow River, Shenandoah. Yeah. And they're half price. Plus, if you're a club member, you get your discounts as well. So if you're a Diamond Club member, that's an extra 15% off as well. And there's even more. If you decide that you want all 4 of them, I know, decisions, which one would you go for? We'll even give you a bonus storage folder as well, free of charge. Win-win situation as far as I'm aware. And I know many of you have taken advantage of that because we've seen the orders coming in. I'm not mentioning any names, but there's a few people in the room that have taken advantage of that. And yesterday, Barb did a Facebook Live. I think it was about 3:30, and just to show a couple of different tips and tricks with the designer parchment, because it's not just for parchment, is it? Barb's been stamping on parchment for years, especially the designer parchment. So up and down, left and right, round and round. Up and down, left and right, round and round. Okay, so we're now back to the beginning. So let's have a look at our piece of artwork. Let's see if I can. There we go. So it definitely looks a lot whiter. Okay. Now I've zoomed in really, really close, and I can still see I've got some sort of shadowing. See how I've got that little line just in the middle of that one? I can see it more on the screen than I can with the naked eye, if that sort of makes sense. But I'm not worried about that, because we're going to go through and do another layer. It's all about building it up slowly. That's right, Jane. It really is a good time to stock up. Okay. So now, so we're still on the number 3 tool, and I'm going to stick with the number 3 tool. But what I'm going to do now, you know how I was talking, let me grab a piece of scrap parchment, or a pick there, here we go, scrap of parchment. So this was, remember I had a look at the design. So what I tend to find is that for me personally, when I'm doing my white work, because I'm worried about that outer edge, so to speak, if I come towards me, because that's my preference of starting at the top and coming towards me, what I tend to find is that although it sounds really weird, although the ball on the end is round, I sometimes miss areas. Okay, so let me just see if I can show it. So I'm going to do these 2 pieces here. Let's do 3, just to prove a point. Okay, so I've done these 3 pieces here. Now, when I turn over, I know that I'm going to have, I can see it already, that I've got some sort of grey area. Okay, so let's turn it over. There we go. You can see I've got a little bit of grey in certain areas. So what I tend to do, so on this one, I'm coming towards me, but now if I turn my work and I now come towards me in this direction, it will close up those areas. So let's do this one in the middle. Okay. Now I'm doing this doubly fast and doubly heavy. Let's do this one as well. I can really feel the parchment giving. But when I turn it over, I've got a better result. Okay. Now I could really throw caution to the wind now and go in with the number 2 tool, but I do have to be more gentle with the pressure. And yes, I know I'm going upwards and downwards, but I just wanted to show. So this is really going like cotton wool now, because I've got one too heavy and too quick. But can you see the difference? So this one had 1 layer on in one direction. This one had 2 layers on in the 2 different directions. And then this one here has had the 2 layers in the different directions plus a smaller ball tool. So I think what I'm going to do for my final layer is I'm going to stick with the number 2 tool, and I'm going to go in the opposite direction. So I'm now, rather than the points of the flowers pointing upwards, they're now pointing downwards. Okay. So let's gently does it, even though I've got the poly bag underneath, I can still go through the parchment. So I just need to be careful with the pressure I'm applying. So if I go quiet, yes please, I can hear the voices. It's because I'm conscious of the pressure I'm applying. Okay, turn it round. Up and down, left and right, round and round. Up and down, left and right, round and round. Up and down, left and right, round and round. Okay, move it round and carry on with the white work. Who's done their white work so far? Anybody? Anybody out there? Have they completed all your white work and you're just watching me just while the hour away? I know. I think last week I said I'd have this done, didn't I? But sometimes it's good to just recap on what we've done. And that's my excuse anyway. So, hope everyone's having a good week so far. The weather certainly makes a difference, doesn't it? I'm sure it definitely makes a difference if you're away on holiday, Ken. It's nice that you've found the time to join us. There we go. Almost done. I can definitely see the difference on the whiteness. And don't forget, I've come in really close with the camera, so I'm really going to show up any imperfections, what I would class as imperfections. But it's the overall effect that we're going for. Okay. Really, really. Voice is going again. Nice and slowly. Coming around the final bend now. There we go. Up and down, left and right, round and round. Now, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I'll try and put my head up. There we go. Well, thank you, Jill. Jill forgot to do her homework as well. So she's white working with me. Brilliant. Thank you, Jill. I don't feel so bad now. So, but it is a lovely process, isn't it? Almost on the final stretch now. So last week I gave some tips on how to sort of shorten the design on the plate to create a smaller square. And there was a couple of things that we needed to be aware of. And the first one was obviously that it was to put the corners in first, wasn't it? And it just happened that this particular design worked as a perfect size to go within the coaster. Okay, so we've turned that over. So I'm definitely happy with that now. Okay. So you remember we didn't trace all of the corner out. We just traced out parts of it. Remember the registration from when we created the original piece to start with. And so we did each of the four corners. And once we'd got the first two in place, we could see how it was starting to sort of line up. Okay. And then we went back and then infilled it, just exactly how we did with the card that we created. So this works lovely, just as it is, with just the embossed. Let me zoom out a little bit now so you can get a better picture or an idea of it. Am I going to go the wrong way? No, I got it right. There we go. Okay. Let's pop that to one side now. It's our white work done. So this was perfect then to fit within the coasters, but it will also work lovely as a topper on a card. you could take one of our beautiful alphabets and put like a monogram in there. The Art Deco border plate, mate, has beautiful fonts that would work lovely. So you could just do like J for Jane or K for Ken in there, and it personalizes it. But it personalizes it with a difference because you've got that lovely font. So how are we getting on? Are we all good? Are we all good? And whenever I say good, I always think of Barb's names now. The Good family. So give people a few minutes to catch up on that one for a minute. What else have I got to tell you? Open days. Don't forget our open days are coming up in on the 10th and the 11th of June. Tickets are still available. We have them on the website, or you can ring up and speak to Janine, and she will more than happily take the order for that. So we've got Friday the 10th. Oh, and that was in Australia, and Saturday the 11th. Two fantastic days. Lots of fun, laughter, demonstrations, giveaways, raffles. It's going to be mad, and it's been a long time coming with COVID. So tomorrow, Barb and I are going to sit down. We're going to plan and work out what's what we need to take, what the demonstrators are going to be doing. Yeah. So today, it all sort of tomorrow, even the plan. I mean, the plan's already there. It just needs finessing on different bits and pieces and who's going to do what and what we need to do here to get it all ready. Yeah, really looking forward to that. Okay, so let's take this Groovi tab off now. And now I'm going to show you some tips with the perforating. Because we've made it smaller, we need to be aware that the pattern will continue to run. And depending on some of the designs, the pattern of the perforating will run into areas that we don't necessarily want to perforate. Okay, so let me bring in my super foam. I'm going to pop that on there. So I'm going to bring my plate mate into play. Okay, so when we're to zoom out a little bit more now, we're on a bigger space. So there we go. Okay. So as with all of Josie's Duet plates, the instructions on what side to use are embedded within the plate. So this time we need to make sure it says perforate this side up. Okay. So I'm on my super foam. I'm going to use a Groovi tab just to hold my plate in place. Ooh, PPP, plate in place. No, just two P's. Some Groovi tabs. Okay. And what I'm going to do first, I'm going to do exactly the same as when we was tracing out the design itself. Okay, so I'm just going to bring my head in over slightly so I can make sure I'm lined up. So the embossed dots fit within the perforated lines underneath. Okay, so just make sure I'm happy with the positioning. I think I am. Yeah, that looks about right. So have your Groovi tabs to hand. Tape your parchment down in place. I'm going to put another one on there for sure. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom into this area now so that you can see what I'm talking about in relation to where the pattern continues. So if I zoom in, zoom in. Okay. Now I'm going to bring this down. So you see where we've shortened the design. Let me see if I can come in a little bit closer without it blurring. No, too much. Okay. So you can see underneath where we've got the perforations. Okay. And when we come to do this part here, this really is where we don't want to be going because it doesn't form part of the pattern. Okay. because the pattern is the repeat pattern of this area up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to perforate, and then we're going to stop when we get to this one here. Okay, we don't want to go any further than that. Now, you have options to sort of help you do that. And for me, personally, it would be a piece of paper that I would pop over where I need to stop so that I don't get carried away. Okay, I could use a Groovi tab, but because the Groovi tabs are see-through, I may not see it when I'm perforating, if that sort of makes sense. Okay, so if I take a piece of copy paper and I just position that, let's just position that there, and I can use a Groovi tab to hold it in place. Okay. I mean, if you've got a spare Groovi guard, you could use your Groovi guard, because I need to use a Groovi guard over here. But a piece of paper is nice and flat, and it will do the job. So let's come over this way a bit now. I'm going to use my Groovi guard to concentrate on the area. And then I'm going to take my 1 needle bold. I'm actually going to put my glasses on. Glasses come out. Still need to make that appointment with the opticians. I say that every time I put my glasses on. Okay, and now all we're going to do is follow the pattern that Josie has created for us on the plate. So although it's sort of a bit of repetition from what we did with the card we made and the bookmark, but I think sometimes it's good to repeat a process in different formats. Now I need to decide whether I'm going to go around the outside or whether just I'm going to stay within the inside. So I reckon let's go for all of the perforating. Okay. So I'm just going to follow the design. And it doesn't take long to get into a rhythm. Now I know in some areas Josie would be using a 2 needle or a 4 needle bold to do this. But I think if you're starting out, a 1 needle is perfect for it. I've got a hole there. Ah, that was, see, I couldn't see whether there was a hole there. So I took potluck and it went through. Okay, so if there isn't a hole, like there isn't one there, then it won't go through. So we're going to carry on with our design. And the grid, as I've mentioned before, it forces the needle tool into an upright position. I really can't think how I would have been able to achieve this result. Where's that hole gone? How I would achieve this result without Josie's pattern grid. There it is. Imagine just having a basic bold grid underneath and having to count out the design. Definitely need my glasses. Maybe I need to come in a bit closer. There'd be holes where I didn't want holes, and I definitely wouldn't be going at the speed in which I'm going. Now, I'm not saying it's a race. You haven't got to be like a sewing machine. It's all about enjoying the process. See, and then look, I'm coming up to the piece of paper now, so I know I'm not going to go any further. And that piece of paper is stopping me from doing that. Because I know 100% sure I would have got carried away and made a mistake. So are you perforating as well? Or are you just going to leave it embossed? Or are you going to do both? See, the design will work in both ways. Okay, so we've perforated that area. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove my piece of paper and I'm going to turn my work now. Okay, and now this time I need to mask off the area over this side. So I'm going to stop at this point here because I don't want to go any further than that. Okay. Groovy go. So Helen did yours last week. And was you happy with what you did, Helen? Have you been grooving for a long time, or are you new to the groovy journey? Let's go back to the smaller area. Who's finished theirs complete? I know, as I say, I know Glynis did because she was making it as a present. Talking of Glynis, did you see? I'm sure it's it was Glynis this weekend. On the Clarity Matters blog, she did a beautiful step-by-step on the Clarity Matters blog. Every week we have a different project from the fantastic design team. This week coming up, we have Maggie Byford. Yeah, I think Grace is working on that one at the moment. So that's something to look forward to on Sunday mornings, bright and breezy at 8 a.m. if you're up at that time of the day. And when you look at what the ladies have created and you think, oh, can I do that? You can, because they really sort of break it down and explain it so well. And if you haven't got a particular plate, you can definitely, on some of the designs, replace it with a different image from your stash. Absolutely. In a way, it's sort of like a weekly II book, isn't it? Ideas and inspiration, but with so much more detailed step-by-steps and photographs, and the ladies work so hard in putting them together, and I appreciate all that they do, really do. So look, I'm coming up to the white piece. I'm thinking, what's that there? And I remember it's a white piece of paper. So make sure you check out the Clarity Matters blog every Sunday, and there's a whole library of step-by-step tutorials. Another one there. There we go. Have I missed any? No, don't think so. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it round and I'm going to line it back up. And what you'll find is that these holes will slot into the holes that are already there. So in a way, it's already given me my relocation of the design. So the first time you do it, obviously it takes a little while just to sort of line it up. And then as you go round, then what happens is these ones will relocate. And as we turn it every single time now, they will relocate into the holes already in the plate. Okay. So I'm going to pop my piece of paper in place again. And going to go to the concentrated area. So now I can complete this part without any worry of the design not working, because it's all to do with the corners. As long as you've got your corners correct, then you shouldn't really go wrong. Okay, so what was that? Helen's been grooving since, let's move over a little bit, grooving since the beginning, and the second one was a better matchup. Yeah, sometimes it's good to have a warm-up, isn't it? If you think about what you're creating, it isn't for anyone or anything in particular. Barb's often said this: if you're making art for art's sake, or to distract you, or to do something different, then it doesn't apply the same sort of pressure that, oh, I need to make a card for such and such, they like this, they like that. And then you go to your craft room and you have a look and you've got a room full of stash, but you'll never have what you feel is the right piece of artwork. I've been there, I've done it, I know exactly. But if you're making it just for the sake of making it, Sam Crow said it as well when she was on TV a couple of months back, that just make it, and then when it's made, decide who would appreciate it. It really is. I find it, I know it works for me. It makes a difference that there's no pressure on meeting certain requirements, so to speak. Right, so I'm coming up to the piece of white paper again. So I know I'm going to stop there. I'm going to go in and fill around the outside now. Now, do you remember when we did the bookmark, we didn't go round these little flourishes. We just kept below the embossed flowers. So you have the versatility of the design, all courtesy of the lovely JC Davidson. See? There's no way I'd be talking on here and doing this at the same time and counting. There would be more holes in this piece of parchment than you can imagine if I was just using the basic grids underneath. Honestly. Okay. So we're almost... See, like, I thought there was a hole there, but that little mark hasn't done anything because there isn't a hole. So that's all of that area finished. And we're looking at a small piece of artwork as well, aren't we? And I think that's one of the great things about like Tina's parchlets, that they are a small piece. See, look, that just slotted in perfectly. Okay, and then I'm going to put my piece of paper in place. So it's just about giving you a few tips and tricks on how to sort of achieve things a little bit more easily. And sometimes you can watch it, you can go back and you can watch this again and again and again. So what we're going to do, let me just finish off this corner because I didn't realize what the time was because I've got my head down. Let me go into the small area. So we've had a recap on what we did on the Pergamano show last week with the Rosy Doodle and Floral Doodle designs from Tina. I've mentioned the week ahead, and Tina's back on TV, and I've shown you her new designs and some artwork from the design team. We've mentioned the open days. We have also spoken about the product highlight of the week, which is the designer parchment, Northern Lights, Indian Summer, Rainbow River, and Shenandoah. Okay, perfect opportunity for stocking up. Do I have a favourite? Hard to say. It depends on the project I'm making. And if you decide, if your budget allows, and you decide to go for all 4 of them, then we will automatically add in a free 8x8 storage folder. Okay. Janine is going through the orders as she prints them off and just putting a little note on it saying add folder, so that it happens when your order is picked and packed. So that'll be winging its way to you. Then next week, I said to you I wanted to do something a little bit different, and it was an idea that Barb had. Who's in the Groovi Club? If not, why not? No, only checking. Who watching is in the Groovi Club, or any of the clubs? Come to that. Doesn't just. I just presume because we're on Groovy Tuesday, everyone's a groover. Last week we spoke about sort of back issues being available, because I know we have a lot of new viewers as a result of the merger with Create and Craft, or Craft Store buying Create and Craft, and may be familiar, or you may not be familiar with the Clarity Craft Clubs. Okay, so Barb had this idea, which is brilliant, that what we can do next week, I mean, a lot of people will already have it, but if you don't, there's an opportunity for you to get it ahead of next week. I didn't think we'd have a look at one of the back issues, and we'd have a look at the project sheet that lovely Linda Williams has created, and we would work through that by step. Okay, now I just want to do this bit. I'm going fast now because I want to get this bit, and I want to show you the piece that we're going to have a look at. It is back issue number 65. Okay, so Stuart will pop the link up for you of that. It's available now. Okay, yes, Ken's all for. Carol's in the Groovy Club. Karen's in the Groovy Club. Jill, Stamp Dime, returned to Groovy this year. Excellent. See, that's the thing, that it's an annual subscription, which you can pay in one go, or you can spread the cost over the 12 months. Okay, and it varies on club to club on how much the clubs are. Obviously, the more clubs, the more it is. But they're fantastic value, not only sort of like the discounts that you get when you shop online and at an event. We have member sales twice a year. But everything you purchase online, you get that 10 or 15% discount. Okay, that's just one side of the clubs. The other side of the clubs is that each month you get a beautiful product together with a double-sided concertina, step by step. Okay, so with the Groovi, I'm going to show you in a moment. I just want to finish this bit so that we've got completion on this project. We can run over a little bit, can't we? You're not going anywhere. It's only sunny. You don't need to go and sit in the garden. A beautiful project, and the Groovy one, designed by the lovely Linda Williams. There we go, done. Designed by Linda Williams. Projects done by Linda, and I think Jane sometimes does some. I think Lynn Jackson has done some in the past. Right, let's just pop that to one side, bring that into play. Look at that. Let me zoom out a bit now. Whee. Oh, wrong way. Sorry. Okay. There we go. Look at that. beautiful, tiny little piece. And when you look at the coaster, that is just beautiful. It really is. And yeah, the versatility of the Duet grids is amazing. So then what we would do, we would just trim that down. We could put a piece of coloured parchment, or we could put a piece of designer paper behind it. Or, as I said, we could have gone, or I definitely need to zoom out now. Sorry, I'm going to go. Oh, I need to put that piece of paper back on the camera. But if we had done it with any of the product highlight of the week, we wouldn't need to do any colour whatsoever, because it would be instant. Okay, so choice is choice. So if you think from one piece, 1, 2, you will definitely get 4 little coasters out of one sheet of parchment. So 48, 96, 192. So one pack would give you 192 coasters if you were that way inclined. Okay. And yes, Jane, you also get the newsletter for being in the club as well, written personally by Barb. So so that, I think, brings closure to the Queen Elizabeth plate. Perfect timing for the Jubilee coming up in a couple of weeks. Fantastic event. But let me show you these 2 masterpieces that Linda Williams created, that if you're already in the club, you'll already be familiar with. So this was number 65 of the club. Okay, so you've got this beautiful, let me bring it in on this camera, this beautiful piece that Linda created. And some of you may be familiar with the story behind this, because when you look at the actual plate, okay, this is the plate, which is the beautiful, let me just take it out of the, sorry, let me just take it out of the cover so you can see it in its full glory. So when you look at that, okay, beautiful piece, see that you could just trace out and go with. Okay, whether you want Father's Day in there, you don't have to put the sentiment in. Okay, and so when you bring in what Linda has created, this is where the whole idea came from, the layout plates. Okay, because Barb saw this and thought, wow, that is fantastic. Little pieces of areas to create and break it down like a little sampler. And so that's where the whole idea of the easy layout plates came from. A conversation between Linda's artwork and Barbara. Okay. Then when you have a look at the second piece that Linda created, look at that. That is just, wow. But it is the plate exactly how it comes. Okay, so the versatility of the designs. Okay, so let's have a look on the overhead. So this is the project, and you've got that visual step by step and the written one as well. So what we're going to do is, over the course of the next couple of weeks, is we're going to go through and have a look at what Linda has created, and we're going to break it down step by step. If you have the easy layout plates, you're more than welcome to use one of those and just take the designs, but we're going to sort of go back and we're going to work it through step by step. Okay, so even if you're not a club member and you're thinking, what's the club all about? Or maybe you want to have a look at some of the back issues, because they're available. So this one is available on the website. If you search Groovi back issues, it'll bring them all up. And this one is number 65. Okay, so this is what we're going to be working on over the next couple of weeks. So as I said, many of you who are already in the club will already have it, so bonus. On the back of the project sheet, you've got a list of ingredients of what Linda's used for the different projects. So the blue project is all sort of dotted to show, and it gives you the codes. And then the other project that we're going to start with, the sampler one, tells you, so you want your numbers oval and tag A square plate mate, which is part of your starter kit. You want your pink mat, you want your embossing tools, Dorso oil, but I mean, that's further down the road. The whole idea behind it is to have this little design plate. Okay. So I hope you've enjoyed working with the Queen Elizabeth over the past few weeks. And if you've missed it, if you tuned in for the first time, then don't worry, because you can go back and watch on our YouTube page all of the previous episodes where we started it right at the beginning. And next week, we'll be starting a brand new project using the club issue 65. So if you thought, oh, I'm not sure about the clubs, don't know whether to go for it or not, it's a good way of sort of dipping your toes into the water. And when you see the value that you get from that one plate and just a project sheet without any other benefits, then for me, I think it would be, you'd think, yeah, I need to join the club now. So thank you for joining me. Don't forget, Barb's back on Thursday with another Shack. And then Tina will be on your screens on Saturday, 2 p.m. Craft Extra and 5 p.m. Create and Craft. So enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy the sun if you have it. Maybe go for a little walk, or maybe just go and sit in the garden in the shade. And I will see you again next Tuesday. Thank you ever so much for joining me, and take care, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye now.